Hello everyone, and welcome to the AIX Biology channel. Today we're going to look at a paper that just landed in Nature, and it is quite interesting. So a team at Takana AI, Oxford, and UBC has built an AI system that does the entire scientific research process by itself. It comes up with ideas, it writes the code, it runs the experiment, it creates the figures, it writes the paper, and then it even reviews its own paper. And more interestingly, one of his papers actually passed real blind peer review at the top machine learning conference workshop. So now let's dive into the paper and see what they have done. Let's start with the dream. Automating science is one of the biggest and oldest ambitions in AI. Going back to the 70s, computer scientists imagined a machine that could think up new hypotheses, run experiments, and publish papers all on its own. But how far did the field get? Well, pretty far on individual pieces. AI helps generate hypotheses, AI helps write code, AI helps predict the protein structures. But the full loop from the idea to a peer-reviewed publication has basically stayed out of reach until this paper, where the authors built a system called the AI scientist that closes the loop. And they tested their pipeline the only way that makes it count because they submitted their paper to real conferences. So how does this thing actually work? There are four phases. The first one is ideation. A large language model, or LLM, generates research ideas, and then it queries Semantic Scholar to check whether each idea is a new one. Anything that is too close to existing work is going to be removed. After that, we have experimentation, and this is the hardest part. The AI writes the code, runs the code, plots the results, takes notes like a real graduate student, and it repeats this entire process. There is a tree search over different code variants to find the best one. And then the third step is the write-up step, where the AI fills a blank LaTeX conference template. For the related works section, it also queries Semantic Scholar over 20 rounds of refinement to find proper citations. And the fourth step is automated review. A separate ensemble of 5 AI reviewers judges the paper, and a meta reviewer makes the final accept or reject call. And each phase looks simple in concept, but putting them together into a system is actually a real engineering achievement. Here is figure 1 of the paper. So what are we actually looking at? Panel A on the left is the workflow we just talked about. Look at the blue boxes on the far left. That is the ideation pipeline, where the LLM proposes an idea, the AI checks if that is a new idea or not, and then it scores and archives the idea. And then we see the orange experimentation boxes, where we have preliminary investigation, hyperparameter tuning, research execution, and ablation studies. Each stage feeds into the next, with the best result carried forward. So what are those tiny colored squares? Those are individual experiment runs in the tree search. And on the right side, we have the gray boxes for plotting and feedback, paper template, and final paper. At the very end, we have the green box for paper AI review, and the whole thing runs autonomously. On the right side, we have panel B and C. Panel B is for the scaling results. We're going to come to that a bit later. And then panel C tests whether the reviewer is any good. And we're going to get into that as well. Look at panel B on the top right. The x-axis is when each LLM was released, going from July 2023 to July 2025. The y-axis is the paper quality score from the AI reviewer. Each dot is a different LLM used as the brain inside the AI scientist. We got ChatGPT 4, Gemini 1.5, Gemini 2.5, and so on and so forth. So what do we actually see? There is a clear upward trend, which means the newer the LLM, the nicer the paper quality. And the fit line is statistically significant at p less than 10 to the minus 5. It tells us two things. The first thing is that the bottleneck is not the architecture of the system, it's the underlying intelligence. The second point is that since LLMs keep improving, AI-generated papers will also keep improving. The dots at the very top right corner, for example, Gemini 2.5, is already approaching workshop acceptance territory. Now let's have a look at panel C. Before trusting an AI to judge its own papers, you need to know that the judge is calibrated. How do you know that? Well, the authors fed the automated reviewer thousands of real conference papers from ICLR and Open Review with known accept or reject outcomes. Then they assessed how often it matched the human verdict. The yellow bar here is always reject, which is the trivial baseline at 50%. The gray bar is random guessing, also around 50%. The light blue bar is the automated reviewer. It scored 69% balanced accuracy on papers from 2017 to 2024, and it scored 66% on the 2025 set that came after the training cutoff. So is this just memorization? Probably not. The dashed line at the top is human reviewer agreement from the Neural IPS 2021 consistency study. Look where the automated reviewers sit, right at the human level, which means that the human reviewers disagree with each other about as much as they disagree with this AI. Here's where the paper gets more interesting. The authors submitted 3 AI-generated papers to a real workshop at ICLR 2025. And the human reviewers in the committee were told that some of the submissions might be AI generated, but they were not told which ones. So what happened? Of the 3 papers, 1 received scores of 6, 7, and 6 from 3 independent human reviewers, and the average 6.33 place it well above the workshop's acceptance threshold. A fully AI-generated paper, from idea all the way to paper writing, actually passed real peer review. And this is amazing. But there are also some caveats, which is that the workshop's acceptance rate was actually above 70%, which is on the high end in comparison to the main conference rate. The other 2 papers were rejected, and the team withdrew those 3 papers after review. But still, because one paper has already passed that score, the line was already crossed. And here we have the snapshot of the actual paper that passed peer review. Look at the 4 corners. Top left is the title and abstract. The paper is titled Compositional Regularization, Unexpected Obstacles in Enhancing Neural Network Generalization. The abstract reads like a normal machine learning paper. Top right is the technical methodology with equations. The math was real. Bottom left is the data visualization. The plots were properly created with axes, with arrow bars, and with appropriate colors. And then the bottom right is the reference. And the citations are real. They are retrieved from Semantic Scholar and used properly throughout the paper. Now we get into the engine room of the paper. The question is, how does the AI actually do experiments? Panel A on the left shows the tree search architecture. The AI scientist runs experiments in 4 stages. Stage 1 is preliminary investigation, which means it's going to try a bunch of variations to find what works. Stage 2 is hyperparameter tuning, which is to sharpen the best candidate. Stage 3 is research execution, which means it is going to run the actual experiments. And stage 4 is application studies, which means it is taking parts of the model out and see what breaks. Only the best checkpoint survives between stages and moves forward. The tiny boxes here are individual experiment runs, and the lines connect parent runs to their children. So the AI is not just running one experiment, it is doing a few at the same time, comparing them and picking what is the best. And now we're looking at panel B. This is the full life cycle of one research project carried out by the AI. The title at the top is the research topic that the AI chooses. In stage 1 at the top, the AI built a custom MNIST dataset to test its ideas. In stage 2, it tuned aggregation strength while balancing 4 metrics. In stage 3, it introduced something called the water burst dataset. And in stage 4, it replaced the dataset entirely with stratified subsampling using a CNN. And in stage 5, that is application studies. And we have warm-up period duration, frozen layer adaptation, penalty application strength, and so on. Each row is a different design decision the AI explored, and each colored block is one experimental run. The arrows show how decisions propagated. So this is not just about code execution, it is iterative scientific reasoning. The AI is forming hypotheses, testing them, revising them, and creating a summary of all of them. It's exactly the same way how a graduate student is going to do the job. And now we're going to focus on panel C. The x-axis is the number of experimental nodes in the tree search. Think of each node as one tiny experiment the AI runs. The y-axis is the final paper quality score. We see that there's clearly a positive correlation between what is on the x-axis and what is on the y-axis, which means the more compute you spend exploring different experiments, the nicer the final paper. And this is the same scaling law that drives LLMs themselves. More compute, more capability. So what have we learned? We learned that the AI scientist quality is not going to plateau anytime soon, because as compute gets cheaper, AI-generated papers will be automatically better as well. Combine this with the LLM quality scaling we saw a few slides ago, and you have two independent dimensions both pushing this approach upward. We are going to have even stronger LLMs, and we're going to have even more compute. Both are climbing at the same time. So the current ceiling is not really the ceiling we're going to see in the long run. And now we're going to tie everything together. There are 4 big things we have learned today. The first one is end-to-end autonomous research is no longer just a dream. The AI scientist is there already. It is already doing the job from the ideation stage to peer-reviewed publications with no human in the loop. The paper quality scales with 2 independent parameters. The first one is the quality or the capability of LLMs, and the second one is the computing credits we're going to put into the project, and both are going to improve in the near future. The third thing is that the AI scientist, or say its product, already crosses the workshop acceptance bar. The main conference bar is probably still harder, but the trajectory is clearly going towards that goal. It's hard to say when exactly it is going to get there, but we know it's going to get there eventually. And fourth, this is a paradigm shift in how science gets done. So what does this mean in biology? Right now, the AI scientist only handles pure computational research, where experiments are just code execution. But there is already serious work on autonomous chemistry labs and self-driving wet lab robots. Combine that infrastructure with the AI scientist's brain, and we're going to have automated biology research. This is everything I want to share with you today. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you soon.